So continuing on with our introduction to GUI programming using Tkinter and Python, we're going to take a look at a canvas widget. I thought this would be useful if you're trying to make your chess program maybe look a little nicer. Hopefully it'll give you some ideas here. So the simplest thing is we want to import Tkinter first and create a main window and run it as a main loop. So again, that runs until somebody closes the window. And inside that window, we're going to create a canvas widget. And in this case, when you're creating a canvas widget, you have to specify the height and the width. Of course, we're putting that inside the root window. So we're going to give it a height of 20 and a width of 80. And then you can make the background any color you want. So we'll make this misty rose. And then we're going to place it in row 0, column 0. So this is going to be the only thing in this window. And in this case, it doesn't do anything particularly great. It just creates a misty rose colored canvas in here. So then what good is that? Well, a canvas actually gives you something literally that you can put stuff on. So it's like a place to draw. So we can draw different shapes on our canvas. And we're going to take a look at how to do that. So this is just the basics of creating a canvas. Now, we're going to add some things to our canvas. So if we want to add a photo, we can do that. We can go ahead and put a photo in. But to do that, you have to have a photo that Python will recognize. So you have to use the Tkinter built-in photo image method. And to do that, you have to load in a GIF. There's actually another type of file that you can load, but I'm just going to use a GIF. If you want to load in other kinds of files like JPEGs and stuff, well, you have to do a little bit more work. So we will get into that in the future. Okay, so I called this one Python because this is actually a Python logo. So I've loaded this in as a photo image, called that Python. Create a canvas, this time it's a lot bigger, so it has a height of 200, the width of 400, and put the background as floral white. If you want to know all the possible colors, there's a list of them out on the internet. You just do a Google search for Tkinter background colors or something like that, and it'll come up. Actually placing the canvas on the root window, so you remember you have to do this grid call in order to make this work. Notice that I've assigned this canvas a variable name, and in so doing, I didn't put the grid on the end of this. I do the grid separately because if you put the dot grid on the end of this, canvas is going to be not anything you can use. It's going to be basically true or false. Yep, I got it. Nope, I didn't. So to actually make an object that you can use, you first create the canvas, then you place it using the variable name canvas. So I'm putting it in row 0, column 0. This canvas is going to be the only thing in this window. And then, as a canvas widget, it has some methods. You can create rectangles, you can create lines, you can create ovals. So I'm going to go ahead and create a couple of rectangles in here. And the placement is going to be, this is an X and a Y value starting from upper left in the window. So it's going to be placed at 10, 10. And that's going to be the upper left corner. Lower right corner is going to be at 80, 80. So this is a 70 by 70 rectangle. In other words, a square. This is another 70 by 70 rectangle starting where this one left off. So this leaves off at an X value horizontally of 80. This starts there. This starts at the same vertical height as this one, both at 10. And then this one moves over 70 and moves down 70. And this is going to be a dark goldenrod. Then, so these rectangles, here, let's just go ahead and comment these next two lines out. And so let's just take a look at what we have so far here. So I'm going to run adding things to your canvas. And so far we have these two rectangles here. So, that might give you an idea of how one could use that sort of thing. Now, what if I want to put something inside those rectangles? Well, actually what a canvas does is you can create more stuff, give them coordinates inside your canvas. And again, the coordinates are X going this way, Y going this way, and 0, 0 is up here at the upper left. And it will just place them on top of what you already have there. So in the middle of this rectangle, this is 10, 10 here, 80 here. So these are 70 by 70 rectangles. Halfway across would be 35, right? So if I want to put something in the middle, I should be at 35 plus 10, which is 45, 45. So I'm going to create a text in this case for the first rectangle, and the text is just going to say middle, and it will center that. There's, you can place the text in different ways using an anchor, but I'm going to, by default, it's centered, so middle will be centered at 4545, which is smack dab in the middle of that first block. This is the middle of that second block, and I'm going to take that image which says Python, and I'm going to place that right over top of that second block, and this time I'm going to anchor it to the west, to the left. So now let's run this again. And so there is the text middle. Again, it's centered in the middle of the box. This Python one is anchored to the west, although it gives you a little break here. You can change that little break over to, if I didn't do this, anchor to the west, then, well, the centering kind of fails and puts us over here. Okay, so we can add in anything we want into this canvas. We can put in text, we can put in rectangles. I can put another rectangle inside of these rectangles. I can put a rectangle around my text if I wanted to. I can add text, but when it does this, the thing to keep in mind is think of this as adding the text on top of the existing rectangle. Add this image on top of this existing rectangle. Once you have those things placed, you can delete them pretty easily if you had to for some reason. So this is the same basic setup we had before with the canvas, and create the two rectangles, and I'm going to create the text. So all this code right up till here, I guess say right up to here, is exactly the same we had before. So we create the two rectangles, replace middle, replace that Python image, not replace. But the one, I said exactly the same, except for this one I tagged as middle text. So I gave it a name, called it a tag. And now if I want to take that out, well, here, you know what, I'm just going to comment this out. So putting that tag in there doesn't do anything. If I run, removing things, oh, I didn't have a project interpreter. Okay. So if I run this, this looks exactly the same as we had before. But the tag just gives this a name so that if I wanted to, I could delete that middle text out of there. And if I run this again, the middle text was placed and then immediately deleted. So this happens so quick that you don't get a chance to see it, but it actually was placed in here and then removed from the canvas. So it's pretty easy to remove things from your canvas as long as you label them. What if you wanted to move something? So this is the same code that I have before. The only difference is I still got the tag in here. The only difference is that instead of deleting middle text, I'm going to move it to a new position, 20, 30. This is actually an offset from its current position. So it's at 45, 45. I'm going to add 20 to the X, add 30 to the Y. And oops, I got to run removing things, not removing things. So let's run the right program and define my interpreter. And so I've moved middle down to here. So once you have an object, it's pretty easy to move things. That might be important for somebody that was writing a chessboard program, being able to move things that were centered in the middle of a rectangle. Okay, so an introduction to using a canvas. And we will learn about some more widgets and ways to do things as the semester progresses.